Hey there, movie lovers. Welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're jumping into the relentless future with Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Packed with jaw-dropping action and mind-blowing special effects, this 1991 classic isn't just a movie, it's a cinematic landmark. But behind all the explosions, time-travel twists and iconic one-liners, there are secrets even the biggest fans probably don't know. So grab your leather jacket and ride shotgun, because we're diving into 20 things you never knew about Terminator 2 Judgment Day. After initially saying no but changing his mind after being offered $6 million to direct, James Cameron agreed to make a sequel to 1984's The Terminator, without any clear idea of what direction it would go in. Despite the original film being a huge success, Cameron had moved on and never developed concepts for a follow-up. When he eventually committed to the project, he contacted William Wisher, who had been credited with additional dialogue on the first film, and together they sketched out the rough framework that would become T2. In a 2017 interview, Wisher reflected that the screenwriting process had been surprisingly quick and straightforward. Cameron credited Industrial Light and Magic's visual effects supervisor Dennis Muren with the idea for the T-1000. Muren had suggested that they could expand on the techniques used in Cameron's The Abyss and create a computer-generated character composed of liquid metal rather than water. This approach avoided the challenge of transparency, but introduced a new one, reflectiveness. Cameron recalled that Fox distribution head Tom Sherrack was displeased when he realised the studio had funded a costly failure with The Abyss, only for its technology to pave the way for a bigger success elsewhere. Sherrack reportedly remarked that nobody could have predicted that they would spend $60 million on a film that turned out to be nothing more than a test run for T2. When the film was re-released in 2017, Cameron took the opportunity to correct a continuity error in the scene where the T-1000 drives a truck off a bridge and lands behind John Connor. In the original cut, the impact of the truck against the concrete caused the windscreens to pop out, only for them to inexplicably reappear moments later. He also digitally inserted Schwarzenegger's face into shots where it had previously been clear that a stunt double was performing the action. Robert Patrick was definitely naked in Terminator 2. The groundbreaking effects team had to digitally remove his man parts, though his nether regions could still be glimpsed in later home video releases. In the director's commentary, Cameron jokes that he'd like to get a refund for the poorly executed digital willy removal. Despite its pioneering use of CGI, many of the film's most striking sequences were achieved through practical effects, thanks to Stan Winston's models, miniatures, and intricate prosthetics. When the T-1000 is shot and his metallic body appears to burst open, the effect was created without CGI. A spring-loaded mylar prop shaped like a flower would snap open by remote control. CGI was then used by ILM to show the wound closing and healing itself. The Terminator endoskeleton in the opening scene was equally remarkable. Designed and built by Stan Winston and his team, it was a fully animatronic robot, operated by 12 puppeteers using a combination of cables and radio controls. Different operators managed the crushing leg, waist, neck, head, and even the eyes, bringing the machine to life with remarkable precision. And for the moment when the T-1000 freezes in liquid nitrogen and is shattered by the T-800, the effects team faced challenges in making the molten fragments appear to reunite on their own. Their solution involved placing mercury blobs on a table with a dipped center, though this proved problematic. To perfect the illusion, they sprayed adhesive onto the table so the mercury would halt on contact, creating the impression of pieces reforming. For the chilling nuclear nightmare sequence, VFX artists Robert and Dennis Skotak constructed a large-scale miniature of LA. Air cannons were then used to topple the small-scale buildings, some only a few feet high, to convincingly portray the city's destruction. Sarah's nightmare sequence, where she dreams of the impending nuclear holocaust, was one of the film's most memorable images. Remarkably, the scene was meticulously researched. Cameron hired nuclear warfare experts as consultants specifically for the sequence. Following the film's release, he even received a letter from a laboratory praising it as the most realistic depiction of a nuclear bomb going off ever, adding that Hiroshima would likely have looked similar. The CGI effects were created by industrial giants ILM. When Cameron handed them the script, he marked the sequences he envisioned as computer-generated. Dennis Muren reviewed each one and categorized them as easy, moderate, difficult, or miraculous. Remarkably, half of them fell into the miraculous category, yet every effect made it into the finished film. In total, there are around 47 computer-generated shots, amounting to roughly 3.5 minutes of screen time. The ILM team estimated that each 5 seconds of CGI required around 8 weeks of work. To handle the scale of the project, ILM's CGI department expanded dramatically, growing from 6 people to 36. It was later calculated that if one person had attempted to complete the work alone, it would have taken 25 years. Played by Robert Patrick, the T-1000 was a groundbreaking creation for its time, and Patrick dedicated himself to portraying the emotionless machine as convincingly as possible. He undertook a strict running regime, training himself to breathe only through his nose, so that he could sprint on camera without displaying signs of fatigue. He also practiced firing a pistol without blinking, imitating the mechanical precision of a robot. To refine the character's movements, Patrick studied the head motions of the American bald eagle and incorporated them into the way the T-1000 turned its head. 2 sets of twins were used in the movie. Don and Dan Stanton appeared as the asylum guard and his double during Sarah's escape. Linda Hamilton's twin sister, Leslie Hamilton, portrayed the version of Sarah when the T-1000 took on her appearance. Leslie also acted as Linda's double in the scene where Sarah and John reboot the T-800. For that moment, Cameron constructed a reverse set to mimic a mirror, with Leslie carefully replicating her sister's movements. Sadly, Leslie passed away in 2020. Cameron revealed that before Robert Patrick was cast as the T-1000, he had originally considered Billy Idol for the role. However, that idea was abandoned after Idol broke his leg and fractured his forearm in a motorbike accident. Several other names were seriously discussed. Michael Biehn, who had played Reese in The Terminator, was considered, and at one stage there was even talk of Arnold Schwarzenegger portraying both Terminators. Steven Seagal reportedly came close to landing the part, as did Blackie Lawless, the lead singer of the heavy metal band Wasp. Before Edward Furlong was chosen, a young actor named Charlie Cosmo was offered the role of John Connor, but he had to decline as he was already committed to What About Bob, starring Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. Cameron approached Denzel Washington for the role of Miles Dyson, but Washington turned it down. He later explained that with no offence intended towards Cameron, he had felt the character did little more than look frightened and sweat, so he chose to pass. Cameron completed his first draft of T2 just in time for Carolco to unveil its upcoming summer slate at a major industry event. On the flight there, Schwarzenegger read the script for the first time and was far from impressed. He was dismayed to discover that his character would not be killing anyone in the film. Cameron reassured him that this twist would surprise audiences and prove even more effective, while still giving him plenty of memorable scenes. Reflecting on the moment, Cameron recalled that Schwarzenegger had hated the idea and even tried to talk him out of it, but he insisted that it was the right creative choice. In time, Schwarzenegger came to see the wisdom of the decision. Linda Hamilton agreed to reprise her role as Sarah Connor only on the condition that she could fully explore the character's psychological unraveling. She wanted Connor to be portrayed as driven crazy, reflecting the immense strain of knowing the future and the trauma of her experiences, which Cameron said would allow her to go nuts on screen. This decision ultimately added significant depth to the film's family dynamics, highlighting the emotional and psychological stakes for both Sarah and John Connor. Cameron revealed that he created Edward Furlong's character while under the influence of ecstasy and listening to Sting. He admitted that during a writing session in an altered state, he was struck by Sting's lyric, "I hope the Russians love their children too." This led him to reflect on the contradiction of nuclear war and the sanctity of life, inspiring the creation of the character. Edward Furlong, making his screen debut as John Connor, nearly missed out on the role. During a test scene with Linda Hamilton, who played his mother, he became shy and nearly jeopardized his chances. At the urging of casting director Mally Finn, Furlong worked with an acting coach, returned to audition again, and secured the part, despite continuing to feel nervous. Schwarzenegger said he sat for 5 hours a day for 43 days to have the various elements of facial prosthetics applied by makeup artists. The artist said he would arrive at about 3 p.m, they would apply the effects until 8:30 p.m, he would film till around 6 a.m, and then they would spend an hour taking it all off again. The Flood Channel chase was filmed deep in the San Fernando Valley, necessitating the diversion of a man-made river to maintain continuity. Schwarzenegger's stunt double, Peter Kent, performed the Harley jump, and the production team had to dress up a dirt bike to look like a Harley, as a proper one couldn't handle the landing. In reality, the bike was guided to the bottom of the channel by cables rather than completing the jump unaided. Meanwhile, Cameron personally operated the camera for the sequence while riding in the sidecar of another motorcycle. When the T-1000 passes through the metal bars of a gate in the asylum, the sound effect was that of dog food coming out of a can. Originally, the film's ending was intended to flash forward to the year 2027. In this deleted alternate ending, an adult John Connor is depicted as a US senator, while Sarah Connor appears as a grandmother, complete with aging makeup, reflecting on the years since the Judgment Day they had averted. The narration continues at length compared with the theatrical cut, though it concludes in a similar fashion. With production wrapped, the team raced to finish the film, and Cameron later recalled that he finalised the cut, including all visual effects and miniature refinements, only around 3 hours before the prints were being struck. Made for around $100 million, Terminator 2 went on to gross $205 million in the United States and $520 million worldwide, spawning a television series and many sequels, each with varying degrees of connection to its original mythology. The film received 6 Academy Award nominations, winning 4: Best Sound Effects Editing, Best Sound, Best Makeup, and Best Visual Effects. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about Terminator 2 Judgment Day. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.